Hello everyone, this is Defense Politics Asia, and this is the situation. This is the Frontline Changes Report. Give me a second, I forgot to change dates. So it's going to be for the day of 863 for the 5th of July. So, yeah, I'm still sick. I'm still not fully recovered, but I sound slightly better. Maybe it's the coffee. So anyway, there is a lot of frontline changes report over the past 24 hours. Yesterday, I did not post a frontline changes report. There's 3 frontline changes yesterday. Is on the situation report. Do check it out in the DPA War channel. So, Vovchansk, Druzhba, Pivnishny, New York, Toretsk, Vosrok, Novo Oleksandrivka, Novoporosky, Umansky, and Kostyantynivka. So these are all the frontline changes. Only one of these change is actually Ukrainian gaining grounds. So we're going to start off with the Kharkiv fronts at Vovchansk. We previously have reported in the situation report that the Russian forces are starting to storm the high-rise building, and we have first confirmation that the Russians have some success geolocated within the high-rise zone. The Ukrainians are still holding positions within the high-rise zone, and the Russians are currently storming through. So this is the gain and first reversal from the Russians in the Battle of Vovchansk for a long time. So because ever since the Ukrainians started their counteroffensive, the Russians has been losing ground over in the Vovchansk region. I'm talking about purely Battle of Vovchansk. But this is the first Russian gain since I think that. Other than I think this area here where the Russians still holding the aggregate plant. So the next frontline change is over at Druzhba. So we go into the New York front. So at the Battle of New York, not Battle of New York, the New York offensive, where the Russians are attacking New York and Toretsk direction in 2 different directions. And at the Druzhba region, so just off Mayos, this is Mayos, Druzhba, Pivnishny, so Toretsk. At the Druzhba region, Russian forces geolocated in the north as well as in the south of this street, which confirmed that the Russians have captured the entire street and also invalidated the Ukrainian claims that the Russians are still not there yet. This confirms the Russian mapping, so that's very good. And south of this position in Pivnishny, on the opposite side of the railway line, Russian forces are geolocated at this position as well, thus confirming that the Russians have expanded control and their foothold in this region here, which allows them to continue their offensive into Druzhba and Pivnishny as we move forward, coming to the new week ahead. So that's the frontline change over at the Pivnishny and Druzhba in this area. Further south, in the southern part, in this very obscene looking thing, the Ukrainian forces actually managed to retake most of these front line, these buildings. Previously, we have the Russians geolocated around here. This time round, the Ukrainians are now geolocated here, which means that the Russians have redrawn from this area here. That's some ugly arrow. Let's draw again. So they have redraw and redraw. Withdraw and redraw. Sounds the same. Anyway, yeah, it's my fault actually, because I redraw it, so the Russians have to redraw. So anyway, the Ukrainians have retaken this area. However, we have to note that this geolocation is based on Russian thermobaric rocket strikes. So which means that even if the Ukrainians are geolocated here, they might be dead at this moment. So whatever it is, this gray zone is now under Ukrainian control. Ukrainians have retaken these positions. However, like I mentioned, these three positions are thermobaric strikes. So the Ukrainian forces around this area might be dead. So because the thermobaric strike is basically instant death, so as long as it hits in your vicinity, you are pretty much dead. So that is a problem with this weaponry for the Ukrainian side. They have no countermeasures or similar weapons available to them to allow them to use it. And with these strikes, I would expect the Russians to start to make progress. As you can see, I'm still sick. My voice start to not get that good anymore. So that's the frontline change over at this area. We move to the next frontline change after this one. The next is at New York. So in this another very weird looking thing. the Russian forces have expanded control around this area. First, we have the first objective geolocation of Russian forces in New York region. This confirms this entire what should we call column of a frontline change, and this confirmed Russian presence, and this also kind of corroborates the possibility that the Russians has captured Avdiivka. Based on Ukrainian mapping and based on Russian claims, Avdiivka has been captured by the Russian forces. Of course, we cannot have firm confirmation of this just yet, and the gray zone by the Ukrainians is actually quite huge. The gray zone looks something like this. So the Ukrainian drew this gray zone is pretty big. So the Russians have a huge capture in the south of New York, and but the firm ones are the ones around here. These are the red portions are the confirmed ones, and based on Deep State UA, they also expanded this column to show that the Russians have taken full control around this southern part or the bottom of this column, and included in this area are a number of entrenchments that is all now under Russian control, which means that this entire area here might be already evacuated by the Ukrainian forces, realizing that they cannot hold these lines. There is still bigger entrenchments around here. There are still bigger defensive positions, but these positions are going to be in deep shit. I think the Ukrainian soldiers, if they know the current situation, may start to think about withdrawing from this area here, because it's going to look really dangerous, and maybe by the time the Russians hit the center of New York, the retreat route will be a very, very long detour. And the Russians, however, is not going to attack from this direction because of heavy minefields. So, which is why the attack is coming from the south. So this is the frontline change over in the New York region. If I zoom in, there's a cemetery around here. This is where the Russians is now the latest geolocation is. So moving on away from this frontline change, we go into the northern part of the Avdiivka front, and we have frontline changes over at Novoalexandrivka. This is based on Russian claim. This is not confirmed yet. Russian mapping shows that they have captured the entire of this entrenchment on the western part of Novoalexandrivka and taken the next tree line. So this allows them to get even closer to Vovchansk, and the battle continues around this area here. And we move on further south of this position. At Vovchansk, Ukrainian mapping has expanded the Russian control, showing that they have taken the entire tree line on the western and southwestern part of Vovchansk, which allows the Russians now a leap away to cutting off retreat route for Novoselivka Persia, and this would complicate the tactical situation around here, and and however, this entire situation at Vovchansk is not acknowledged by the Russian side. According to the Russian mapping, they are still here. They're still talking about the fighting on the eastern part of Vovchansk. They have not even come anywhere close to the Ukrainian mapping's claim. But because the Ukrainians are claiming Russian progress, so this likelihood is that the Ukrainians are correct, because conceding is conceding something is in the frontline change is more believable than claiming captures. So anyway, whatever it is, this is a huge change, and the Russian and the Ukrainian mapping also shows some slight advance in the area of Novoporovsky. According to the Russian mapping, it's a bit more advanced. The Russians have expanded the control a little bit more across this Gali region, moving towards Novoselivka Persia. So if we go slightly south, you will see that there's only this road linking Novoselivka Persia to the other side of this Voschar River, and the other road just goes south to Mazovey. So which is why this road is now under threat, because the Russians can basically just come in and cut it. So anyway, this is just some analysis on top, because I know many of you guys will not watch the sit rep, which it will be on the DPA War channel. So just add a little bit of context. Russian mapping also expand. The mapping is a bit different from the Ukrainian one, so there's slightly more a bit more grounds at the western part of Umansk. So but not something very, very important. So, and the last frontline change is over at Kostyantynivka. So over at this Kostyantynivka region in the south, in the Donetsk front, based on Russian mapping, their mapping looks a bit more sensible, that the entire tree line here is under Russian control. So previously this area here is where we geolocated Russian forces. So it, based on Russian mapping, they claim that this entire area now is under Russian control, south of Kostyantynivka. Apparently, the Russians still have not attacked directly into Kostyantynivka yet. This attack have not come to fruition just yet, and the Ukrainians are still holding strong positions around Paraskovyievka. The capture of Paraskovyievka is not confirmed. So, yeah, we will see. How I think the Russians are just waiting to get a better tactical positioning or posture before they go for the incursion into Kostyantynivka itself. So anyway, these are the Frontline Changes Report. The situation report will be on the DPA War channel maybe 12 hours from now. I won't be recording it just yet. Yeah, just to ensure the two videos do not cannibalize each other. So yeah, this is how the YouTube algorithm works. Unfortunately, I have to play along. So anyway, thank you for watching. Have a great weekend. This is, I think, the July 4th weekend. So, I think the Americans should be pretty excited. And also stay safe. And thank you for watching. Press the like button. Subscribe. If you have watched to this point, clearly you should subscribe. And those that you think you are subscribed, check. Make sure that you're not unsubscribed. No, secretly by our enemies. And I'll see you guys in the next update.